a soldier, an airman, and a Marine walk into a room. This show is the punchline. My name is Ryan Smeltz, and you're watching Veteran Talk Show. So I found those in my book, so I thought I'd set them to the side and I don't know, see if he wants them. Probably not worth much overall. They're falling apart as is, but I figure why not? That transition guide I found, written by like a retired person or something, I thought that was interesting.
Very well.
So what'd you do last night? Just drink all the beer?
No, I just went home and my wife and I just hung out, watched a movie. That's it. Nothing exciting during COVID is really happening.
Yeah.
I didn't get home from work till about 6:30, 7 o'clock last night. So.
Why? They just work you like a dog?
No. Oh. God, no. I mean, it's not. I like this job compared to where I've been.
Huh.
It's not nearly as much, stressful. So.
That's good.
And the people there are great. No, it takes me about 30 minutes to get home. I left at like 5:15, 5:30, and then went to the ABC store, so I had to go a little out of my way.
Yeah.
I picked up a bottle of booze, and I didn't get home till, it was about 6:15.
Okay. That's not too bad then.
Yeah, and then just made a grilled cheese sandwich and watched a movie. I mean, that's what we did. My wife's on a whole vegetarian diet, so I was like, I'll scrounge.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
But is it really scrounging if you actually know how to cook?
Yeah, because I'm not because usually when we do dinner after work, she's usually the one like, oh, I feel like this, so I'm going to make it. I'm like, all right, well, just make enough for me. Because when I get home from work, working in kitchens for as long as I did really kind of ruined cooking for me.
Yeah.
I don't cook big meals unless it's like a special occasion or I have people coming over. Like when I'm at the house, it's usually, it just kind of, we try and alternate who cooks in the house, but
yeah,
it all just kind of depends. If we've just had long days, we haven't been, we're just tired or whatever. We just kind of cheese and crackers tonight. We're like, yeah, we don't feel like it.
Chicken and rice.
Yeah, we do that a lot. We do a lot of chicken and rice.
Yeah.
A lot of we do stir fry with chicken. We do
okay.
We make chicken and black bean with rice and put them in burritos, and a lot of chicken and rice in our house.
Okay. I was definitely curious. We always talk about going to school after the military, and I mean, the truth is, my experience was pretty normal.
I felt like Billy Madison.
Well, because
I was in class with a bunch of 18-year-olds at 27 years old. Oh, you guys.
Well, so that's why I asked, because I went to a school that specialized in veterans and older folks and making education affordable. So mine wasn't really. We had one 18 or 19-year-old once in a while.
No. So the first semester of labs, I was with the continuing education or continuing adult education. So everybody in that lab for that part of the school year was kind of my age, and it was kind of fun because we would be after labs wherever, we'd be like, oh, let's all just go down to the bar and have a beer. And so we would. And then, kind of how I went through school was I did all my culinary stuff first because I got a bachelor's degree, and part of that degree was I had to do culinary school. And once I got out of the lab side of, and you can take the labs, I guess, whenever you want. And I got out of my labs and went into the academic side, the classroom side.
Yeah.
Of all my, and part of that I had to take a lot of liberal studies, which were freshman year, incoming freshman classes. I'll never forget, my first class, there was this 18-year-old girl was you guys going to the after school or back to school party over at so-and-so's house? I'm like, nope, not even. Do not go to house parties. I don't do it. that time has passed. If I have a house party, it's usually at my house and it's with like 5 or 6 people I know. Like if they're bringing, if random people are showing up, I'm gonna like get the fuck out of my house. Yeah. You know? But it was weird. Like I remember being in one of my labs after the first, I guess, semester or trimester or whatever they call it. Cause it was a trimester. You separate it into thirds.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was. But I remember after that first trimester, I got into a bunch of labs with freshmen, which was really weird. And I met there was one other guy in that class who was like my age. He was like maybe a year younger than me.
Yeah. Was he a veteran?
No. He wasn't a vet. He just
didn't get around to it.
Yeah, he just graduated from high school and went into just start cooking. Like that's kind of, and then he was like, "Well, I'll go to culinary school and get a bachelor's degree."
I could probably do this.
Yeah. But anyway, so he and I were really tight, and we would be talking about shit. Like I remember distinctively talking about the movie Beetlejuice and how awesome the original Michael Keaton Beetlejuice was. And like half the class was like, I don't even know what the fuck this is.
Beetle what?
Yeah, they're like, what are you talking about? And then we would tell them about it. And then like, I remember one day on a Monday, we were in class, we were washing dishes, and this girl comes up, she's like, I watched that Beetlejuice movie and it was so stupid. And we're just kind of like, we're like, it was fucking awesome. Like
nobody asked you to watch it.
Oh,
nobody told you.
Yeah, I was like, first of all, I don't care. So, but she was like, yeah, the animation was bad. The CGI, I was like, it was the 80s. Like, that was advanced for its time.
If you think that animation was bad, watch any other movie from that era.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, but once I got into the academic side, it was real bad. It was like, there were a few classes I had with vets. I had to take a leadership class where they actually taught JJ Did Tie Buckle. I don't know if you remember that. So it's the 14 leadership traits. And the acronym is JJ. We had to learn it in boot camp, and it's like justice, judgment. I can't remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
We had to take a leadership class. I remember fighting with the school trying to get out of that class. I was like, why the fuck am I taking this? Like, well, it's a liberal studies and you've got to take it to graduate. And I was like, well, I took, my MCIs, and one of those was about this is redundancy for me. And they're like, well, you got to take it.
We don't care.
And it was funny because
so you didn't. Okay, so I could be wrong, but you didn't have your arts transcript, like your military service, because
I didn't even know those things existed.
Oh, okay. So you just didn't have it evaluated.
Yeah,
I was gonna say if you had it evaluated, because that's what they do. I'm not saying that would have made that class go away.
But I had to take the test, the MCI, Marine Corps, whatever, the MCI test.
Yeah,
which is where they give you a booklet and like a test, and then you take it and you turn it in.
Well, your arts transcript obviously is your military service, and then your school evaluates that.
Oh, I didn't.
And you get credit for it. I had most of my bachelor's degree done before I ever took a college class.
Well, so I went to college before the Marines, and so I could only transfer so many credits. So I dropped out of college with like 18 credits to a bachelor's to join the Marine Corps.
So when you went back afterwards,
only so many credits would transfer.
Oh, okay.
Only so many. They were like, no, we can't take all of these credits. I'm like, okay.
Just the school you went to, or
I don't know. I don't know what the rules were.
You're like,
I was like, I don't care. I've got the GI Bill. It's whatever.
Just pay for it with that.
Yeah, whatever. Take what you can. But in that leadership class, it was funny. There was, I think he was like a recon or MORSOC Marine, and he and I became buddies. There was like a Pogue Marine in there, and and I think there was like a Navy vet in there.
And kept them two around for the fun of it.
I guess
we can poke fun at them.
But that class was interesting because the guy who led it was like an Air Force colonel, and so like the first day we're all talking about, like he's talking about his military service. He's like, is anybody in the military or veteran? And all of us all the veterans raise our hand, and he goes, we're Marines, Navy, Marines. Cool. And we had to do this like project where we had to go over, he gave us different topics. And we had to present these topics to the rest of the class off of the stuff we had learned in this class. And we chose military leadership, me and the MARSOC Marine, because we came from the military. And so we're talking to the professor about it. We're like, so this is like your kind of bullet points here. We are going to approach this. Would you be okay with us approaching this topic differently with our experience? He's like, abso-fucking-lutely. Like, cool. And so he stood up and gave this presentation. We gave like our backgrounds, and we basically, instead of giving them like, here's what makes a good officer, blah, 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 blah. Here's what makes, we basically shared our experiences. Like, because we both had been under good officers and bad officers, good NCOs and bad NCOs. And we kind of went through that presentation with what do those metrics look like from someone who is being led by these people? Like, what do you see as someone in a subordinate position to a good or bad officer? It actually turned out really well. But yeah, it was just weird though. I felt, for most of the classes, I felt like I was Billy Madison. Yeah. Like I was like, man, I'm 27, 28, 29 years old. I'm surrounded by a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds who've just the only thing they've done is like graduate high school and go to college. Yeah. And they knew everything. And I get it. I was that way at 18 and 19. Oh yeah. I was like, fuck yeah. Like I'm the shit because, and then like I'd be around and be like, you're a fucking idiot. I had one person who was like, one girl who I had culinary labs with, she was like, I'm going to be a chef for the stars. I'm never going to work in a kitchen. We're like, that's not really how that works. Like, you've got to go earn your bones in a kitchen before you can. She said a chef to the star, like for like movie stars or famous people. She's going to be like a personal chef. But still got to cook in a kitchen, right? Yeah. So she meant like in someone's house. Yeah. Like be someone's live-in chef, which exists. Yeah. There is that, but like those guys don't just like go to culinary school, get out and be like, I'm working for Brad Pitt and, or who, like Tom Brady or whoever. No. Yeah. You've got to go in some bones, bruh. Yeah. I mean, I feel like you could compare it to, say, like a tattoo artist. The guy who did these. Yeah. I know the dude who got his very first tattoo ever. He did those up there. David Guy, I deployed with him. Yeah. He's a phenomenal artist, but the first time he ever touched a needle to skin, it's a little bit different. Wasn't perfect. Yeah. He put a lot more effort in than some of the amateurs do. We may or may not have been in the desert when he started. I guess we'll never know. But is that supposed to be a wink wink? Yeah. Wink, so wink, but he had been building this business and he's been an artist his whole life. Yeah. So you didn't really have to learn that aspect, but the technique and stuff. And so now, you got to earn your bones. 10 years after he started, like I'll go to him, I'll have him put ink on my body all day. He's a phenomenal artist. He does good work. His prices are very competitive, but out the gate, maybe not. He had just started. He would have said that. He was looking for people willing to take that risk on him. Right. And so it's like, if you go to culinary school and you get out, maybe just get a job first and start there. I don't think if you want to go to culinary school, go work in kitchens for like 2 or 3 years first. Yeah. Because I worked in kitchens before joining the Marines. And I was like, well, I'm good at it. I'll go and learn more about it. So what would you suggest though? Because my restaurant experience is very mainstream. So Applebee's, Cracker Barrel, no. Bahama Breeze. Oh God, Bahama Breeze, really? It's a Darden restaurant. They got good benefits. No, I mean I would just go work in kitchens. I mean I like mom and pop, but like I worked in everything. I worked in fine dining. I worked in like pizzerias. I worked in bars, like sports bars where I was just grinding out burgers. If you want to go into the culinary world, go work in a fucking kitchen. Just get into, and I mean like not like a chain restaurant, someone where you can latch on to some talent and learn. Yeah, someone who's more, because I've never worked in a chain restaurant. I knew plenty of people who did, and they were like, everybody's there just for a paycheck. No one's there because they're passionate for.
Well, even the people who are,
food,
so
because the menu's being created at a corporate office.
Yep.
Like if you want to go into the culinary world and you want to be on, Food Network or whatever, go get your ass into a kitchen that's owned by a mom and pop shop or a chef owned, and roll your sleeves up and get in there. I mean, you're going to work 13, 14, 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it for very little money and no benefits. Like I think the most I ever got paid in the kitchen was like $14 an hour. Yeah. And if I didn't work, I didn't get paid.
Yeah.
It's just, there was no such thing as health insurance. There was no such thing as PTO. There's none of that existed.
Especially for the smaller restaurants.
Especially the smaller restaurants. But those are the places where you latch on and go and learn from. I worked for some really great chefs who would sit there and be like, you obviously like this. Let me show you my thought process and how I do this.
Yeah.
I worked for a chef before the Marine Corps who would just be like, he'd be like, all right, we're going to run a special. And, there was like 3 of us in that kitchen who really enjoyed cooking and wanted to do something in that world. And so he would take us and be like, all right, you're in charge, or you're in charge of the special for tonight. He's like, come with me into the cooler. I'll show you what we have available that you can make a special out of. Make a plate for family dinner. We'll try it. If everybody likes it, that's what we're putting on special.
Nice.
And so he would kind of show you, like he would take me through his like process of how he builds something just kind of on the fly for like a nightly special.
That's nice.
And you learn a lot doing that stuff. But when you first start in restaurants, if you're first starting out, all you're doing is washing dishes and prep work.
Yeah.
You're going to go cut 20, 30 pounds of fucking onions. And you're going to be expected to do it in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like just chopping away.
That's got to be valuable, man, because like from somebody like me who doesn't spend that kind of time in a kitchen, I don't have that technique. I don't have that practice.
Oh yeah, it takes muscle memory. You're not going to pick up a knife, and be able to like julienne or just right off. It's going to take practice.
That's how you build it, though.
That's how you do it.
Here's all of the onions in the whole restaurant. Cut them up.
They all have to be precise. Like so, and like because there are chefs who are very in tune. Like the best chefs in the world pay attention to the smallest detail, and they will sit there and say, and they will look at a bowl of chopped vegetables that they're going to put onto a dish, cook whatever, however way, and they're going to hold it. And they're going to expect all of those vegetables to look the same, to be uniform.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to have a cube or something that's like an inch big and another one that's like 3 centimeters. He's going to tell you to do it all over again. He's going to throw it away and say, "Fucking do better.
Cut some more
until you get it right." So it takes that kind of practice, and it's. Prep work sucks because you get in a few hours before service and you start prepping for that service.
Yeah. And
you're just, it's all mundane. And then when service starts and that ticket machine starts going off, you're just kind of flying. I mean, it's like being in a firefight almost. You don't realize how much time has passed until the ticket machine stops and you look up at the clock and you're like, all right, cool. We're almost closed. We're closing in 30 minutes. We got to start cleaning, and then cleaning, like you're going to clean. It's going to suck. You're going to do lots of dishes. You're going to get on your hands and knees and freaking scrub floors and, take food out and, scrub shelves and shit.
That's crazy, man. That reminds me of like, and that, obviously I bring it up because that's my experience, Applebee's, but what you talked about, having that opportunity to work with someone who knows what they're doing and going for the privately owned restaurants. There was a guy over there who worked in the kitchen and he had that desire and he wanted to open his own food truck and he had no one there coaching or mentoring him. So he here's the recipe,
follow it to a T and serve it.
So he kind of went off script and like made me a plate one time. It was like his own thing. Now, I'm not a picky eater, so you take some noodles and some seafood and throw cheese over it and hand it to me, and I'm all in. But you know, the caliber, you could tell there was no, the only thing behind it was what he knew, and so it wasn't like a super fancy dish. I would never expect to see him on like, you know, one of those competition shows or working for a larger restaurant, at least not until he got that opportunity to get some training and mentoring. And I mean,
culinary school gives you like a foundation on stuff, but it doesn't make you a great.
No,
like you're not coming out of the Culinary Institute or Johnson and Wales or Cordon Bleu or the Art Institute, wherever you're taking classes. You're not going to leave there being like, all right, I'm the next fucking Gordon Ramsay or Eric Ripert or Thomas Keller. It's just not going to happen. I mean, those guys.
But you know how to cut.
You have a foundation, you know, right? You have a foundation on what things are and kind of how everything goes. And then, but that's, you know, and you might have some raw ability. Oh my God, this dog.
Now we're all just going to calm the fuck down.
Shh. She's good. He's good. No bite. But yeah, you really just kind of got to get into, because culinary school doesn't ever show you what it's like when a full-on service is going on.
Yeah.
When your restaurant is packed and everything is just chaotic. I mean, it's controlled chaos. And there are parts of me that I'm like, oh man, I really miss cooking. But you know, when I was in Denver, I mean, I think I had like 6 days off in 6 months. And I was working 13, 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
6 days a week. Yeah, 6, 7 days a week. I mean, it was, I mean, my wife and I, we were engaged at the time. I mean, that put a real strain on us. I mean, that was almost like reliving Afghanistan because it was so opposite. She would get up and go to work at 7 a.m. and get off at 5. I'd go into work at like 1 in the afternoon and not come home until 3 or 4 in the morning. So I would try and stay up to like talk to her when she got up, because she would get up around 6 to get ready for work, and I would want to, see her and talk to her. But man, I would just come home, sit on the couch, try and stay up, and I'd just fall asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
That's just what being in kitchens is like. I mean, if you've got the drive to do it, go for it.
Yeah.
It just wore me down. And I was like, I'm going to go find something else. Something where I can work 9 to 5, have some benefits.
Yeah. I've only ever been a server in a restaurant, but
fuck that.
I feel you on that. I mean, it's the same thing, especially afterwards. I mean, I remember one time in Texas, the dishwasher, I don't think he showed up or he went home. I don't know what happened, but the place, all the servers are cleaning up and it was stacked. So I was like, I don't know everything there is to know, but I'm pretty sure I can wash dishes. So I threw an apron on. I started washing the dishes and sending them through the dishwasher and spraying the fuckers off. And then afterwards, I cleaned the whole wash station up. And I was like, all right, but you're right. 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, one time I think we were leaving when prep was getting there. Yeah. The opening manager.
That'll happen.
That had to be 6 a.m.
Yeah, that'll happen. I mean, there was one night, so in one of the restaurants I worked in Denver, Monday was always like our slowest day. So my chef wouldn't be there. That was his day off for the week. I'd usually have I think I would have Sundays because I really was into football. Still am. And I'd watch football. So my chef would take the Sunday shift and he'd be the only one in the kitchen. And I'd take the Monday shift and be the only one in the kitchen. And the servers were the same way. You'd have one person working out in the restaurant, running the whole restaurant, because it was just such a slow day.
Yeah.
We do very little business. And then there was one Monday where the bar manager was working, because she liked Mondays because she could do all of her ordering and all of that. And we got slammed. I mean, we did, I think, we averaged on a Monday, maybe $2,500.
Yeah.
Maybe. And this one Monday, we did almost 20,000 in sales.
That's an increase.
That's it. Yeah. It was I was cooking food and then stopping to have to because she couldn't come back and run the food because she was so busy up there. So she was doing the hosting, because And this was just poor planning on our part because we were just kind of like,
what was it? A holiday? Or
no, it wasn't. It wasn't a special day of any kind. It was just weird. It was just one of those one-off days, and they happen in kitchens. And I was having to like stop cooking, and I would have tickets just hanging off the wall, and I'd have to go grab plates and run them out to the restaurant and just kind of throw them onto the tables, and then run back, grab another set of plates, clear my window, and go back, grab the next set of tickets, cook them, get everything ready for the next set, and then go run back out and start everything I had plated. And we got so shit-faced by the end of that, because like once you get lulls even in those kinds of busy times, and so the bar manager would run back with like a giant like rocks glass filled with bourbon, and she would just be like, here,
drink up, buttercup.
She would have one, and we would just do like a double shot of bourbon and be like, let's go. And we kept doing that all night because it was stressful.
Yeah.
That's what being in a kitchen is, man. I miss being in a kitchen, but at the same time, I fucking don't miss it at all.
Yeah.
I love my new job. I love the job and the career field that I chose, but I don't miss being in a kitchen.
That's crazy, man. I think it's interesting to like hear the other side, because I think one thing I saw a lot is the dynamic between host, server, expo, and cooks. And what a lot of people missed out on is just because you feel like you're working so hard doesn't mean that other person isn't.
Right.
And so now you've got a server yelling through the window at the cook, and the cook's yelling back through the window at the server. And it's like, hey, same team, guys.
Huh.
Same
People
team.
ask me all the time, they're like, is there anything I should read or watch or experience before going, like, to, because I'm on the fence, I maybe want to go into culinary. I'm like, go watch the movie Waiting from 2005. I was like, that is pretty much any restaurant you will ever work
100%.
That is, first time I saw that, I was naming characters that I was working with at the time. 'Cause I was in culinary world at that time, and I was like, oh, that's so-and-so, and that's so-and-so. Oh, that's totally me. Like, and they're in all type, those personalities are in every restaurant.
And just spread out.
You're
100% right.
You're just kind of like, holy shit. Someone's on point with what the restaurant world looks like and put it into a movie.
Yep. Dane Cook was in that. Dane Cook, Ryan Reynolds,
Justin Long.
Oh, man.
Anna Faris.
Dude, that was so long ago.
Oh, yeah. It was forever ago.
That was a good movie.
It was.
Didn't they come out with a second one?
They did. That one sucked.
I was going to say, I feel like it probably sucked. I don't remember if I saw it or not, but the first one, that's right.
The first, but that one was cool. It was, you would sit there and just be like, yep, they're the guys out back smoking weed all the time. Yep.
Going into the walk-in to cry.
Yep. Oh yeah, that happens.
Always somebody.
I can tell you, there would be times where I would
yell.
Yeah, I'd open a cooler. I'd see like a server in there, just like they would either be crying or they would just be like staring at the wall, cussing. Like, I'm gonna fucking kill him. I'm gonna fucking kill him. I'm just like, I don't know who they're talking about, but I'm just gonna grab what I need and go. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And like, if you're gonna go into a restaurant, you're gonna treat people that are working there like shit. You just need to be prepared for shit to happen to your food. Like, that shit's gonna happen. I'm not gonna say anything bad, but like, you're not gonna get what you want how you want it.
Yeah.
Like, what they did in that movie with like messing. There was like a table of like women or something that were like really rude,
like,
and they were like putting like pubic hair. And,
like the lady, the Karen, if you will,
the Karen. There was a Karen. There was like, and I was like, I've never seen anything that extreme. I've heard stories about it, but I've never seen. That was a little.
I feel like that was an exaggeration of reality.
Definitely hyper. But like, they're gonna. If you send something back, like if something's wrong, send it back. Like if you order steak and get chicken, fucking send that shit back.
Right.
But if you order steak and it's not sliced the way you want it, fucking deal with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that depends on how much you're paying too.
Yes, absolutely. If you're forking over $80-$90 a plate, it better come out the exact way you want it.
Yeah.
If not, send that shit back.
But if you're at Applebee's on a 2 for $20 menu, then you can probably just eat and go home.
Yeah. Like if you're at Applebee's and you order a medium rare burger and it comes out medium, suck it up, bro.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that's going to happen is if you send that shit back, they're not going to do anything. They're gonna just throw it under the heat lamp,
or put it in the microwave.
Yeah, or put it in the microwave if it's undercooked. If something's raw, send it back. I would always say that. If you I've had to do that before. I've cut into a piece of chicken and it was pink. I was at a very nice restaurant. And I was like, I had to cut into it. I cut into it and it was still pink. You could still see the pink. And I grabbed the server and I said, I can't eat this. And I showed it to her and she's like, I'm so sorry. I'll go get you another plate.
Yeah.
That's understandable. I wasn't a dick about it. I was like, hey, look, this is still raw.
Salmonella waiting to happen.
This is salmonella. I'm not trying to get sick. I went to a very nice restaurant in Denver. I'm not going to say the restaurant. The chef actually came to my school and talked to the entire school. We would occasionally have chefs come in.
Nice. And
talk to the culinary students.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And he was very smart, very well-respected chef. And I took my wife really liked the type of restaurant that this guy started. And I took her there for her birthday, and it's really kind of a high-end, nice restaurant. And we get there, and we kind of do a tasting because I can't really afford to do a 4-course dinner for both me and my wife and spend $250 on it. But she and I split entrees and appetizers, and we kind of did this tasting for just the two of us. And the entree came out. We had salmon and the sauce, and we got the plate, and the sauce was broken. You could see it. It had just kind of separated. And then there were 3 medallions of salmon on there. One was cooked perfectly, one was undercooked, and one was overcooked. And I'm just
interesting.
I'm just do we send it back? You can eat raw salmon. It's fine. The overcooked one.
But did you go there for sushi?
No.
No.
It wasn't a sushi restaurant.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I my wife's like, do we send it back? And I was like, it's the middle of the week. The chef's not here leading. It's probably his day off. Because you could see into the kitchen. I didn't see the chef.
Oh, okay.
And it's middle of the week, and the restaurant is packed at 8:00 at night. So his culinary team, his kitchen staff is probably understaffed and just in the fucking weeds.
Yeah.
So coming from that, I was like, probably not. Now I went to a restaurant here. I'm not going to say which restaurant, but it is very well known. It's a well known female chef here. I love all of her restaurants, and we for our anniversary went down. So first of all, I called and made reservations for a Saturday night, and I said, hey, it's my anniversary. My wife and I would like to come. So we show up at our reservation was 6. So we show up. It's not packed, but it's not empty either.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of open tables. And they sit us at the bar, which is right over the kitchen. And I'm like,
for a reservation?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they had a bar. So they have a liquor bar, and then they had a bar by the kitchen. And the kitchen was open to the restaurant. So you were literally sitting right up against the kitchen, which is nice. You get to kind of see. And I ordered.
It also prevents waiting.
Yep. It also prevents waiting. And this chef wasn't there because this chef owns a bazillion restaurants in the area. And I ordered the pork chop. And because I like pork chop, I just do. Yeah. And the menu sounded really good. So my wife ordered a plate. I think she had I think it was quail or rabbit or something, some kind of game. It was really good, because we tried each other's, but pork is inherently salty. It's a saltier meat, just naturally.
Okay.
And I've been into the pork, and it was like licking a salt cube.
It's a lot of salt.
It was nothing but salt.
If you bite into something and the salt burns your tongue,
yeah,
that's a lot of salt.
I was that was my first reaction. My wife's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "No." And the bar manager came over, or the restaurant manager, or whoever, she sees me and I'm like not eating my meal. She's like, is everything okay? And I'm like, this is really salty. Like, it's like, I can't eat it. It's salty. And I was like, seriously, go grab a fork and knife and bite into this and let me know what you think. Otherwise, I'm having a freaking stroke. And this manager just kind of started laying into me. She's like, you don't know what it's like to be in a kitchen. I was like, let me stop you. Let me stop you right now. Yes, I haven't worked in a kitchen. I'm now in the corporate world and blah, blah, blah. But I've worked in lots of kitchens. I know exactly what it's like to be in a kitchen.
What does knowing what it's like to be in a kitchen have to do with not pouring the entire can of salt on my already salty meat?
This was one of those restaurants where everybody in there was just they were douchey hipsters.
Yeah.
Because they were able to work at this person's restaurant. And they thought that made them... All people in the culinary world are cocky motherfuckers. And they think they're hot shit.
Yeah.
And anyone who's worth their weight thinks they're the best fucking shit since sliced bread.
Yeah.
Everybody. But these people took it to a whole new level.
I think that's one reason why I like being a server, because it's like,
this
I didn't cook the food, so if anybody ever had a problem with their food, I'm able to be sympathetic towards them, whether they're sending it back or I'm explaining what we can do for them. Yeah. I'm able to handle that customer service aspect, because if they insult the dish, they're not insulting me.
Yeah.
You know, so there's like that buffer. And then if I do take it back, I can present it to the cook in a way where it's like, hey, you know, they decided that they don't want it medium, they want it medium well.
Yeah. Well,
and then he just throws it back.
Like, you should know what the difference between medium well is, and you should be able to, but
I just think you shouldn't be in management if you can't handle a customer service situation like that.
They were like, you don't understand the flavor profile we're going for. And I'm like, what? Salt lick? Is that am I a fucking horse? What are you trying to say?
You're trying to attract the deer in the neighborhood?
What's going on? What are you trapping? I don't get it. We went to another, this was after we had gone to one of the other restaurants that the chef owned. And again, the chef was there that night at the other restaurant, because we saw the chef when we walked in, and this is kind of the restaurant that put this chef on the map in this town.
Yeah.
And we walked in, and my brother-in-law is 1,000 times better of a chef than I'll ever be. Really great chef, and he still works in the culinary world. That's all he's ever done.
Yeah.
And but it was me, my wife, my mom, my sister, my brother-in-law. I think we were doing this for my mom's. It was summer. We were decided to go for my mom's birthday. I was home visiting from, I was living in New Orleans at the time. We were home visiting for my mom's birthday, and we decided to take her to this really nice restaurant. And so we get there, and I'm sitting next to my wife, and my brother-in-law is across the table from me, and they have their entire menu written on a chalkboard. Like, that's that's the motif that this restaurant does.
Sure.
And my brother-in-law and I are looking at the chalkboard. We're like, it is summer. Why the fuck do we have all these heavy winter fall dishes on the menu? Like, we couldn't wrap our heads around that. First off, like, where's light and airy and fluffy? Where, something that's not going to stick to you. You've got braised short ribs on your menu when it's 90 degrees outside in North Carolina. The fuck is wrong with you? So we all ordered, and I think my brother-in-law was the only plate, because we all tried each other's, like, we all had the bread plates, and so we'd take little pieces
family
and
style.
kind of pass around so everybody could have a taste of everybody's dishes. Mine was terrible. Mine was just, it was just, there was no flavor to it, and it was just bad. And so, but my brother-in-law, and so we left the restaurant, and I remember looking at my mom being like, people like this here? And she's like, yeah, this is one of the best chefs in North Carolina. And I'm like,
which North Carolina?
I was like, who's on fucking acid making that decision? Like this, I was like, I get everybody has a bad night, but I went on two separate occasions, I went to this chef's restaurant, and I was like, I'm not going to go back. I was like, I'm not going to pay that kind of money, because I've not had a good experience at either, food-wise. And I'm not going to go pay that kind of money. If I'm paying that kind of money, I want to be blown away.
Yeah.
And I've paid that kind of money at restaurants all over the country and been like, wow. I will tell you, my favorite restaurant in the world is in Denver, Colorado. A place called Tables. If you ever are in Denver, I think it's off of 23rd and Kearney. So it's up in, I think it's Park Hill. Go there and get the fucking sweetbreads. They're fucking delicious. And it is worth, I mean, it's a pricier restaurant, but go there and it's fucking amazing. I've never eaten anything there and been like, oh, this is terrible.
It's good
Every
advice.
time I, like, the really shitty thing is the last 2 times my wife and I went to Denver, because we haven't been to Denver since, it's been a while, because of, COVID and everything. But the last 2 times we went, each time, the one time they were closed because it was a holiday weekend, and this is a restaurant that does such good business, and I hope they're still around. I hope they survived the pandemic. But they would close on Sunday and Mondays all the time. And so it was a holiday. And so they also closed for the holiday. And we were like, oh, no. The next time we went, we tried to go back and they were closed for renovations. We were like, son of a bitch. Next time I go to Denver, though, I'm going to go. I mean, every time my wife and I go to Denver, we always make sure we grab a reservation and go in. Fucking amazing.
I might take you up on that. I got friends that live over there. I actually went to Denver.
It's pricey. I mean, I'm not going to lie. You're not going in there and getting like a $10 hamburger plate.
Yeah.
You're going in and you're going to drop $25-$30 on just an entree course for one plate.
It'll be worth it.
But it's fucking worth it.
Yeah. That's important. That's the experience, Yeah.
Order a bottle of wine for the table. Order the sweetbreads as an appetizer. And then you just will not have a bad experience. I've been in that restaurant dozens of times. And it's so fucking good.
I was in Denver in 2016, early.
I just left Denver in 2016. That's when I moved to New Orleans.
I want to say June.
Yeah.
And I quickly found out. So I was there through a veteran program for some training. And I had a per diem on a card. And I quickly found out that the train tickets were like $9 for the whole day.
Day pass?
Yeah, to include like the airport section if you wanted to.
Yeah, the light rail.
So every day after we were done with training, I would walk maybe a mile to the train station because I had flown in, buy a ticket, get on there and go somewhere. I went to Golden. I went to the Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Yep.
Saw the Coors Light plant or whatever brewery down there.
Did you take the tour?
No.
When people would come to visit, be like, we want to go take the Coors Light tour. I'm like, first of all, there's a lot of great breweries in this town.
Right?
What the fuck do you want to go to Coors for? But I get it. It's Coors. Let's go. So at Coors, they just give you, or at least they used to. I haven't been there since probably 2014. But they give you like headsets and you just walk through the brewery on your own at your own pace. And you can listen to the tour guide through the headset. And so when people would come up, and at the end of it, you can go and get 2 free beers at the tasting room, and then everything after those 2 free beers, because you get like 2 tickets when you go do the tour, but everything after that you have to pay for. So what I would do is when people would go up, like I remember I think it was my mom or my sister, maybe it was both of them. My mom, my sister, and my brother-in-law had come up to visit, and I was like, fine, fuck it. We'll go do a Coors tour. So we went out to Golden. We did a Coors tour. And I was like, they gave us the headsets. And I'm like, cool. And I just put the headset in my pocket. I was like, I'll meet you at the tasting room at the end. I've been on the tour before. I was like, I'll just go sit in the bar and drink.
Yeah.
Have fun. I was like, there's a lot better breweries to go drink at.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite is in Elton Aurora, Dry Dock. Dry Dock's one of my favorite breweries.
Yeah. So there's a path right across from it, or pretty close to it, and it follows a river. Yeah, that's Golden. That's down right in downtown Golden. So I just go and tube in that river. That's I think the Colorado River. Yeah. So I just walked that. Walked that, came back, sat in there's a bar right near it, sat in a bar. My favorite was I went to Boulder with a buddy one night before the training was over. We ate, I can't remember what it was called. But it was a rooftop restaurant. We had burgers on it. I didn't really go up to Boulder that much. We found some there was some street art going on.
Yeah,
one was
that
like
happens.
break dancing. It was pretty cool. And
Yeah,
then
it's Boulder.
T-shirts that said "Hi again,"
Yeah.
but it was
The only
logo.
time I ever went to Boulder was to go to Boulder. I think it was Boulder Brewing Company.
Yeah. Well, my favorite was when the very last day, because I wouldn't have had enough time otherwise. I went through Boulder and hopped a bus to go up to Netherland.
Yeah.
In the mountains. It was phenomenal. Had a margarita pizza and a bottle of water. Holy shit.
You should have gone. There's so many fun places to go up there.
Dude, that was amazing.
Go up
That
into
pizza
Idaho
was so
Springs,
good.
and yeah, there's a lot of good restaurants up that way. People don't give Denver enough credit for how good the food can be. Like, but you've got to know where to go. Like, and you've kind of got to know the ins and outs. Like, you can go down to the 16th Street Mall and like go see all the touristy shit. But there are some really great restaurants that are around that city that are like. Pinche Taco was one of my favorite places on Colfax. They don't have a sign because it's called Pinche Tacos. So they wouldn't let, I think it's closed now, but it was a street taco place, but they would do like braised pork belly on their tacos. Like it was high end shit. And it was a tequila bar. It was awesome. But it was like only like very few people, like tourists didn't know about it. Only the people who lived knew about it.
Yeah.
You know, there was a good Italian restaurant up the street from us that was called Sauce and Shells. It's actually where we did our engagement dinner. Loved that restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, there was a lot of good food. Like people like, oh, Denver's not known for good food. I was like, dude, fucking go down to Biker Jim's and get fucking hot dog, man.
Get
It'll blow your fucking mind. Like that's a street dog, and it's not like New York hot dog and cart water. It's like you can get a different type of sausage. So they have like alligator and ostrich. They have all these different, and then you can like top it however you want. You can get like an elk sausage. I would always get the elk sausage with with onions and cream cheese. Fucking delicious.
Okay.
It's downtown Biker Jim's, and he started as a cart, as a food truck or a food cart.
Yeah.
And became so popular, he just opened up his own restaurant. And you just walked in and you walked up to the counter, ordered, they called out the order, and you just grabbed it and sat down and ate.
That's crazy.
Fucking good though.
Elk.
And then you can go down to Federal, and if you like, you know, anything Southwestern or Mexican, I mean, you like Spanish food, like you go down and just get, I mean, there are some places down on Federal. I mean, I had some of the best tortas of my life down off of Federal. Like tortas are, you know what tortas are, right? They're the Mexican sandwiches.
Yeah.
Like they're braised sandwiches, very soggy. Fucking good.
Making me hungry just thinking about it.
It was, they were, you'd go down there and you could just get, I mean, this is the second time in 24 hours I've talked about food in Colorado. I was doing it with a coworker of mine yesterday. I was telling him about breakfast burritos because they're popular there in Denver.
Yeah.
I love breakfast burritos. Every time I go back to Colorado, I'm like, 3 things we got to hit. We got to hit tables. We've got to hit the Atomic Cowboy, which has Denver Biscuit Company and Fat Sully's in it. It's a bar that has those 2 restaurants in it.
Yeah.
And so we would go to Denver Biscuit Company because you get a fucking biscuit the size of your head. It's so bad for you. It's so good though.
So good.
And then I would go and get breakfast burritos. I'd go down to either Chubb's or Santiago's and get a breakfast burrito with green chili. Fuck yeah. Fucking delicious.
And in Texas, they have taquerias all over the place. You can get breakfast burritos, breakfast tacos.
Yep.
Just pick any taqueria.
Yeah.
And
same with Denver. You go into any breakfast place, it's like there is a breakfast burrito, breakfast taco, even maybe a breakfast quesadilla on the menu.
Yeah.
If they're doing breakfast.
Well, these are taquerias, so it's
yeah.
That's a style of restaurant. So something I noticed about them is they would put taqueria because that's the type of restaurant it is. But it's like, mi hermano, or something like that. So it's got a name, but the type of place, and I'm not sure what designates a taqueria. I guess like a Mexican restaurant or a tequila bar or something. You go in, They have menus. You sit down. Taquerias are a little bit smaller, so you can still sit down and eat, but it's kind of an in and out type place, so to speak. And they have drive-throughs and stuff.
There were places in Denver where you would go in if you like Mexican food. There's a place up in Aurora, and I can't remember the name of it. It's up Colorado Boulevard towards Aurora. And one of my buddies who's from Denver, who still lives there, showed it to me. I don't even know if it's still open. But everything isn't. No one speaks English in that restaurant. Nobody. And the menu is completely in Spanish. So, and it's not like to be authentic. It's just they don't get a lot of foot traffic in there other than Hispanic people. Like that's kind of their market. But man, that food is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
God, it's so good. I miss Mexican food. I mean, Raleigh has some good Mexican places. Some good, and some good Spanish. I mean, they have some good South American places too.
Yeah.
But
there's
that Tex-Mex stuff in Colorado. That Southwest food. Oof, miss it.
Yeah.
Miss my green chili. My pork green chili.
There was a taco place in Texas. It was on Fort Hood Street in Killeen. I can't remember what it was called. But their niche was hot sauce. So you could order your food, your Mexican food, you get any kind of hot sauce on it. But they had like this bar where you could try it. They had the bottles up.
Yeah.
And the little ramekins, plastic ramekin. You get some, you go eat your food, and then afterwards, if you like it, they had a case and you could just purchase the hot sauce. So I did that for the longest time. Every time we went there, I would get a bottle of hot sauce, and then I grew up, and now I have heartburn. So
I love hot sauce. I still eat hot. Like in Denver, there was the Pearl Street Market, which was like an open, it's off of Pearl Street, and it was like an open flea market. They shut down like a couple of blocks on Pearl Street, and you would go, and all the vendors would show up, and it was a flea market. It wasn't a flea market. It was kind of like a farmer's market.
Yeah.
Like when I think farmer's market, I think like the farmer's market down here by State. That is like farmers back their trucks up to. Yeah. It's like we got peaches that were picked this morning and peppers and all that. The Pearl Street Farmer's Market they had like bakers come out. They had farms come out. Like my wife and I would every Sunday morning in the summer, we would go out there in spring and summer, and there was like a farm. And you basically paid $5 and could fill your bag up with any vegetable that they had out. So that's how we would get all of our fresh vegetables. They had a baker that would always come in, have really great fresh made bread. And then there was a hot sauce vendor who made his own hot sauce. And every week he had like just different varieties of hot sauces. Like we had a shelf on our fridge dedicated to hot sauce, and he had like habanero hot sauces, pineapple and mango hot sauce. Like it was, and we would just eat them all the time. Oh, so good.
I miss that variety of hot sauce.
I do too. Oh, man.
I was going to ask you about because you talked a little bit about what you do now, but I don't know. It doesn't sound as exciting as being in a restaurant. I don't know. What do you think?
It's different.
Okay.
So I went from restaurants into the liquor world and worked for a liquor distributor. And that was a fun job. I had perks of being able to, have free wine and liquor. Not that was stolen, but either a supplier would come in or something like that. I just didn't walk out into the warehouse and be like, I'm taking this home.
Yeah.
But suppliers would come in and give samples and stuff, and I could get, they would sometimes give me samples of shit, and it was good. But it was different than it wasn't controlled chaos. It was just very long days, a lot of looking at a computer, a lot of coming up with processes, a lot of, just being an operations manager. You're just kind of like, all right, how do I keep the machine running? I've got all these different pieces of the machine that I'm overseeing, and I need to make sure every piece is working. Otherwise, the entire machine breaks down.
Yeah.
And I wish they would have, so they don't, the company I worked for doesn't exist here in North Carolina. And they transferred me from Denver, Colorado to New Orleans. I got a promotion, actually, and they moved me to New Orleans. And I worked in New Orleans for 3 years. And New Orleans, it kind of wore on us. And it wasn't the job, it was just the city of New Orleans. I mean, it just really kind of wore us down. Like,
that whole getting flooded every 6 months.
It was like every time it rained. Like, seriously, if it gets a hard rain, you'll see like water coming out from New Orleans. It's not like a bad city, or it's a fun city. You definitely visit. If you're not raised in that culture, though, living there is very difficult.
I can imagine.
It's very, very, because I think it's because that city is so influxed by tourism. That the people who do live there, if you're not kind of from there, they just kind of look at you as a tourist and just, you're like, yeah, whatever.
I feel like it's probably a lot different now. Like the first time I was down there was probably about 2000.
Oh, post-Katrina is a lot different. Yeah. I mean, I would hear stories about life pre-Katrina and versus how it was post-Katrina all the time from people.
Well, like the example I'll use is the Café du Monde, because I ate there.
Café du Monde.
Sure.
It's the Café du Monde.
So I ate there back in 2000, and then recently the
Great
movie.
Beignets.
Yes.
Chef. Yes.
The
movie Chef.
What?
You're talking about the movie Chef?
No. I was going to reference Now You See Me. Now You See Me. With Woody Harrelson, and he's doing the
I can't believe you're actually referencing that movie.
In that restaurant.
You're admitting that you watched that movie. That's brave. Wasn't that good of a movie.
It's Woody Harrelson.
That's true, but not everything he does is great. I'm listening to... Okay, go on with your story, and then I'm going to tell you.
Well, I was just going to use that as an example. So you're saying the movie Chef. So, once your restaurant or your city gets featured in movies and people are like, oh, that exists, we have to go there. So I was there before that.
Yeah.
And it, was kind of neither here or there. It was right there.
People have known about it's down in the original one is down in the French Quarter. And it was funny because the first time my mom came, so if you ever go down there, this is going to be what I found from the locals. So when you walk up to Café du Monde, especially if you're down on like during the day, there's always a line. And most tourists don't realize that line is for to-go orders. So they get in line thinking they're going to go in and wait. And I know this because the tourists that I've had that we've taken down there, they just immediately, like friends who've come down to visit us in New Orleans, they immediately get into that line thinking this is how they're going to go get a seat. And I'm like, my mom was the funniest because I was like, she stood in that line. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm waiting in line to get a table. I'm like, this isn't how we get a table. I was like, this is for to go. There's a window that these people are walking up to and ordering what they want. And then it's just being handed to them. They leave. And she's like, well, I want to sit down in the restaurant. How do we do that? And I was like, follow me. And you walk around and kind of into the side, and it's packed as fuck. I mean, there's probably 100, 200 tables in this thing. And I'm just like, she's like, well, now what? Who do we talk to about getting a table? I was like, you don't. You wait for a table to open up. You just go sit at it. She's like, really? It just seems so. It's like, that's how it goes. And you just go in and sit down. Like, don't wait at the line. You'll actually get served a lot faster because the minute you sit, because you're not ordering a lot of stuff off the menu. You're getting beignets and some kind of coffee.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, those are your options at Café du Monde. That's it.
do people go there for other shit?
If you do, you're an idiot. But so, living in New Orleans, it was just kind of, it wasn't that the people were bad or mean or anything like, well, some of them were, but there are dicks everywhere. But I just, the lifestyle of it, like, it's a city that really does not stop partying. It's kind of weird. Like, you think that, like, they're all about just let the good times roll. And I can't remember how to say that in Cajun. Laissez bon, I can't even remember. And anyone who's in New Orleans is going to be like, don't fucking butcher it, man. But they were really about just kind of like always having a fun time. And it just kind of you're just kind of like, dude, I just want to go fucking home.
Yeah.
And just, chill.
Yeah.
It wore us down. I mean, we were so far away from everybody. My wife's from New York. I'm from here. We moved to New Orleans not knowing anything. Like literally, I picked up the phone. I got a phone call and they said, hey, there's this job opening. That would be a promotion for you. We want you to apply for it and see if you're willing to take it. And I went down and interviewed. And like the week after that, I got the job offer. And then the week after that, I started down there.
Mm.
So there wasn't a lot of time to I left and lived in a hotel for a month and was trying to find a place to live and working down there. And so didn't know anyone, had no kind of connection to the city whatsoever. The only thing I knew about New Orleans was what I had seen in pop culture, and it was weird. I mean, it was a lot, my wife and I chose to move to Denver and kind of in the same way, but we didn't know anybody, but Denver was such a different city.
Mm.
Denver at the time, nobody who I met in Denver, save for one or two people, were actually from Denver.
Mm.
I was born here, I grew up here, or from Colorado. I mean, everybody was transient. So when you would go and meet friends and everything, everybody just kind of knew, oh, we know what it's like to be a new guy in town with no family or friends. Let me welcome you in. Whereas in New Orleans, it's oh, you're just another fucking tourist, dude.
Yeah.
I've got my friends, I've got the people that I, know. And so it was just different.
Kind of sounds like a lot of the smaller cities, depending on where you go in Germany.
Yeah.
Most of Europe. It just depends, really. So when we were in Paris, it was very similar. It just really depended.
Fuck Paris. I hate Paris, by the way.
It's very dirty.
It is.
A lot of people don't know that. It's very dirty.
Well, that's how New Orleans is. I mean, I think it's a very French thing. I think they get that from, because New Orleans is, I mean, it's dirty. The cleanest you'll ever see the French Quarter is Ash Wednesday in the morning, because they shuffle people out of the French Quarter at midnight on Fat Tuesday at the stroke of midnight. Yeah. They shut it the fuck down, and they have cops just stroll through arm in arm, and they'll horse, and then the street sweepers are right behind those guys, and they're just cleaning frantically. And then it lasts for about 24 hours, and then it's just,
of course,
puke in the streets and piss on the roads.
Yeah.
But Paris is a dirty city. Paris is way worse than New Orleans.
Yeah, if you're spending money, because obviously, if you own a food cart or something, and I'm buying from you, then you're probably going to treat me decent. And, and then we got off a train at one point. The first time we went to Paris, we got off the train coming from Mannheim, and we were trying to find a ride. I showed him the hotel, and it was a 5-star hotel downtown. Nobody wanted to go there. I was why can't we get it? I don't think there's a tourist guide out there that would have told me, hey, some taxi drivers are not going to want to take you certain places for different reasons. I didn't know that. So we're looking for a ride, and all of a sudden nobody wants to give us a ride. I was like, damn. Finally, one dude walks up to us, and I'm like, oh, sweet, So I asked him in French if he speaks English.
Parlez-vous anglais?
And he asked me in broken English if I speak Spanish.
Oh, nice.
So with a little bit of broken Spanish and English smashed together, he gave us a ride, which I thought was pretty crazy. And then we show up, and it's of course you're used to parking garages, but this was this part of the city was built on top of the road.
Yeah.
And so we had to go underneath to get into the hotel, which was insane. Yeah. But I think that's one reason nobody wanted to go there, is because it was too confusing.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. So I did a study abroad program where we went to London, and then part of that program we had to spend a week or two in Paris.
Yeah.
I fucking hated Paris.
Yeah.
Montmartre was cool, but everybody in Paris was just they were El Ducherinos. I mean, they just were like, we had a kid in this program who spoke very fluent French. I mean, his parents were Haitian, or well, one of his I think his mom was Haitian, and his dad was like from Quebec, and
so French all around.
So he spoke a lot of French. Now, granted, different accents and everything,
of course,
but I remember nobody would talk to us. Like, we tried to speak, we would have like the little dictionaries, and we'd make the effort.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, I'm not even going to talk to you. And I remember there was like 5 of us that went to this restaurant because we were staying right across the street from the Gare du Nord, which is the train station.
Okay.
That's where our hotel was. It was like literally right across the street. And we went to a restaurant not far from there, and we were with this guy, and he's like, look, I'll order for everybody because I grew up speaking French. So he started talking to the waiter, and I mean, he got 4 or 5 words in, and the waiter's like, I speak English, please don't butcher my language. And I'm like, well, at least we're trying to make a fucking effort, you douche.
Yeah.
Like, people outside of Paris, so I spent a lot of my free time either in Montmartre or out in the countryside, or, you know, in different, like I went up to like Calais and all there. Those people were all awesome.
Yeah.
Like, those people were very nice, and
I think it's just
very
the tourist factor.
warm people. Yeah, it might be the tourist factor. People in Paris were just like, fuck you, you piece of shit. And I'm like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Like,
we went to, when I got to Baumholder, we did the in-processing.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the in-processing was a field trip. So they took us up to Eder Oberstein for a day. It was 15 minutes from Post. So it wasn't super fancy or anything. It was just the most, like, German culture area that you could get to that had very little to no, military, because we didn't have any more concerns out there or anything like that. And then, we go in a restaurant to eat, and you order, and they want you to, kind of practice in German. And the waitress or whatever taking our order, she was very nice. So we're trying. And of course, it's 15 minutes from Post, so most of them speak English anyways.
Yeah.
And then I went to Cologne for Fasching, which is basically like Mardi Gras for them.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably about a 4-hour drive, I think, from where I was stationed. And we met this one guy. I think he was German and maybe Polish or something like that. And I think his girlfriend was Polish. And they were like from there. And Germany, it's funny because Germany is, very small as a country, but they don't leave their city. So when he asked where we were from, and I explained that we were stationed at Baumholder, they had no idea where Baumholder was. But just because we were American, me and my buddy, him and his girlfriend thought we were the greatest thing since sliced bread. They hung out with us all night. We bought each other beers. They were like, yeah, you guys are awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so when I never went to Germany, so didn't experience any of that. But people in
good beer,
yeah, people up in outside, like in Montmartre, which is like kind of like I guess a hill is the best way to describe it in Paris.
Yeah,
that's like its own little section of Paris. Those people were really cool. Like I didn't have. That's where Moulin Rouge is up there.
Yeah.
Like going up there and just being able to walk around and hang out as a tourist, people were really welcoming. It was a 180 of walking around like the streets
down
of Paris.
In the city. Yeah.
Yeah. People were just not having it. Like they just did not give 2 shits.
Yeah.
And if you tried to connect with someone, or I remember we went to a cafe to sit outside because they had all those cafes where you can just sit outside and come up and they'll take your order and everything. We went to one, just me and a friend of mine, just sitting down, hanging out, like walking around, trying to see the sights. And nobody came up and talk to us. And like, so we went in to try and take our order, like give them our order. And we're like, go sit outside. Someone will be with you. So we sat back there. We were there for like 45 minutes. No one talked to us.
Go sit outside. Somebody will come.
Yeah.
Nobody came.
Like we thought maybe it was a culture thing, but like after about 45 minutes, we were like, this is just them being pricks.
Yeah.
Like they just don't want to deal with us. So we just got up and left.
That's crazy.
I was able to get to Amsterdam from Paris pretty easily, so that was fun.
No.
Amsterdam was really cool, from what I saw.
From what I saw.
We didn't spend a lot of time outside of the red light district.
So
I remember walking into the red light district, actually, and before we even really get in, there was a bar, and there was a girl giving a dude a blowjob, like, in the bar. And he's just standing there like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, all right, this is Amsterdam. Like, no one, like, it wasn't like an empty bar either.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the lights were off and like closed up and this was like two coworkers hooking up. This was like, they were just kind of standing by a table and she was just going to town on this dude. And I was just like, and
welcome to Amsterdam.
People in the bar were just like, they could see it and were like, yeah, whatever.
That's a thing that happens. Give me another round.
Yeah. Well, I'll take another round of beer, I guess.
My only story of Amsterdam is, a buddy of mine said he went into a club because other than that, it wasn't anything spectacular. I had more fun in Germany, but he said
I loved Amsterdam. I had so much fun there. I was high the entire time.
Of course. They went into a club, and so we were all still active duty.
Yeah.
So he goes into a club with his friends, and they're like, "Wow, this is crazy! Like the lights and the music, it's all different culture, you know." They go up to the bar and they order like 3 beers or whatever. And the bartender looks at them funny. So he gets them their beers. They pay for it. Then the people standing next to him are looking at him funny. And he's like, why is everybody looking at us weird? Like, you know, we can't be the only Americans they've ever seen.
They were in a gay club, weren't they? Gay? No?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I feel like that would be too cliche. I probably wouldn't tell that story because it's like, yeah, we know. Yeah. We get it. They looked around and, you know, it's like techno music, you know, lights going in and out, flashing all over the place, and they're looking at people. Every once in a while, they see this.
Oh, they're taking ecstasy or something?
Everybody's got water. Everybody else is drinking water.
Yeah. Probably because they're rolling their balls off.
Yeah.
I remember we went to a pot shop and bought like a bunch of weed and then went upstairs and it was so funny. There was a pub upstairs and they were like, you can go upstairs and smoke weed if you want to. This is owned by the same, I don't know how they were letting us go upstairs and smoke weed. So we went upstairs, ordered a couple of beers, rolled a joint, and we're smoking a joint. Across the canal was a brothel. And so you saw like the windows there, you know, how brothels work there is girls stand in the windows and try and entice gentlemen callers, if you will. And
it's a advertisement.
Yeah, it's advertisement. And so I guess the signal that the girl who's working in that window is busy or with a client is they close the curtains. So we're sitting there smoking this joint and having a few beers, and this girl across the street is there, and we were probably there for maybe 2 hours just hanging out, drinking a couple of beers, just relaxing. Like we had just gotten off the train. And in that like 2 hour period, that girl had serviced like 3 or 4 different dudes. And it was me and like a couple of my friends and one of the girls who was with us. She looks and she's like, that girl's pussy has got to be hurting right now. Or those guys all have really tiny dicks. She's like, she's gotten railed out by 4 or 5 different guys in the past 2 hours. Like, I don't know how she's not hurting. I was like, well, it's her job. Maybe she's just, toughing through it.
Taking breaks, scheduled breaks.
I don't know, man. But it was kind of weird to see. You'd see like a guy walk up, he'd look in, and he'd like wave, and like she'd go, come on, and like, he'd go inside, she'd close the curtains. 20 minutes later, you'd see him leave, she'd open the curtains and, go back to her business. Another 5 or 10 minutes, and another dude would show up.
It's kind of crazy to think about that the only reason they really have to be in the window advertising, like trying to get guys to come in, is because there's other girls doing the exact same thing. Other than that, we're men, so you probably put a sign up that says, pay to get the deed done, and you just walk, in
Well, I think
Sharpie on poster board.
Because here's the thing: walking around in the red light district. I mean, you walk past a lot of brothels. I mean, you really do.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the whole business there works. Like, I don't know if these are girls just renting out spaces or if they're working for like a company or like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of how it works. But you'd be walking past and you'd be like, oh my God, like, ew. And then, oh my God, she's hot. And then you'd walk past and be like, okay, like pretty, like not ugly, not
super hot,
not like probably a good person, you know, probably.
Well, I hope they're not renting space if there's ugly ones.
There was one woman. She wasn't a girl. I mean, none of them looked young. I'll definitely say that. The youngest looking girls there were like in their, probably my age at the time, which was like 21.
Well, that's good.
Which is good. But I mean, they're like, I would walk past some brothels and they'd be like easily mid 60s in a bikini. Yeah. It was kind of like, you're like, ugh, not into, and there are people who are into that. That's fine, man. That's fine.
You know what? I was just about to say that.
But, you know, if you're not prepared for it, you're really stoned and you're walking down the street trying to find, and you turn to the right and there's like your grandma staring at you with a bikini,
like, oh God,
you kisses. You're like, oh God, like, oh, like, no, run away.
Oh man.
There was one girl, like she had to be the hottest girl I've ever seen up close and personal. Through one of the windows, we were walking. I'll never forget. This was late. This was
so Natalie Portman.
Oh no.
Oh okay.
I mean like Playboy hot.
Oh okay.
Like a different kind of hotness. And this girl had like, we're walking down the street alongside the canal, and there's like a group of like 10 or 15 guys just like looking up the side of this building. Like, the fuck is going on? And we continue to walk. And as we kind of get to walk around the group, we look up and there's a window and there's a girl standing in it. She's got, I mean, I was just like, me and the dude who my buddy who was with me, we both stopped and just did this. And like the three girls we were with, they're just like, oh, what, are you guys going to get a hooker? And we're like, kind of thinking about it right now. I mean, look at her. Like,
are you blind or?
Yeah, I mean, it was something you'd see in like, I mean, not airbrushed, but I mean, I was blown away. I was like, wow, she could actually make a living in like modeling for like Maxim or Playboy or somebody.
But instead
she's just, you know, and she's probably making good money and has benefits. I mean, Amsterdam does that.
No.
We could tell, like, I turned to my buddy and was like, no wonder there's so many dudes just here. And he's like, yeah, but why isn't anyone going in? I was like, look at her. She's probably so incredibly expensive that no one can afford it.
Yeah.
And we just like, true. And then we were like, we're almost out of weed. We should go to another pot shop and get some more weed. And then we walked another like few shops down. It was a mushroom shop and we were like, done. We just took some mushrooms. Just wandered around the city. And we took some, this is going to be a really bad story. We took some mushrooms and then we're like, got the ideas like, maybe we should go to the Anne Frank Museum. We didn't. But for some odd reason, that thought popped into our head for about 30 seconds. And then we kind of realized, not a good idea. Not in the mind state that we're in. That would, A, it's disrespectful.
No kidding.
And B, it would just be such a downer. So we were like, yeah, we're just going to stay in the red light district and just, you know, see all the pretty lights and just trip out.
It's funny you say about it being disrespectful, because that's something that Bo Burnham talks about in his
stand-up.
Well, one of his songs, "Love Is."
Oh,
he says Anne Frank wanted nobody to read her fucking diary.
Yeah,
because the
yeah, we didn't. We wanted to see our intent to go to Amsterdam, because we were there for like maybe 30 hours.
Okay,
like it was really less than 2 days. I mean. But our intent was to go see a little bit of the red light district, just to go to say we've been there. And then to like actually go out and see the city, like outside of the red light district.
Yeah.
And we just got sucked into the red light district, man, because that's where all the hostels were that we could find and had rooms, which was a whole nother experience. Luckily we were traveling with we had, I think it was 3 girls and then me and my buddy, and we could all kind of have our own. We didn't have our own rooms, but we could all share a room.
Yeah.
And which was nice because there was like an English dude and an Aussie dude who were staying in the room across or down, or we met them outside, and they were just hanging out. We just started chatting with them. They were walking with us to the red light district, and they were telling us about the people that were staying in the room with them, who were like Eastern European, and they were like, these people were having like, they were just weird. They were straight, and they was like, they would bring back all sorts of people. He's like, the English dude was like, I came back to my room and there was an orgy going on.
Nice.
And I was like, did you join in? He's like, no, I watched. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but it was like, he was like, there was like, and this room was half the size of the room we're in now.
Oh,
and he's like, there was like 10 or 15 people in there just naked and fucking. And he was like, dudes on dudes, girls on girls, girls with guys. He's like, it was a Roman style orgy in this. And there was a lot of leather and whipping and just handcuffs. And he's like, not my scene. I was like, that sounds pretty terrifying. He's like, yeah. Welcome to Amsterdam.
Welcome to Amsterdam.
I was like, well, glad we don't have to worry about that, because I've been in a room with three girls and another dude, and we all have our own like little cots. It's like, all right, cool.
So that's similar to how Germany was set up, but the difference is you didn't necessarily share the room with other people, but the rooms were very. So I got a room with my buddy in Cologne when we went to Fasching, and it was like a bed here and a bed here, and there was a TV like this big, and then I think we had a bathroom. We lucked out. We had a bathroom in the room, but that was it. It was basically like a long hallway. So it was probably half the size of this from that area back to the windows. That was about it.
No, we had a room, no bathroom in it. And each bed, at the foot of each bed, there was like a locker.
Yeah.
That you could buy a lock and lock your stuff up. And they told you, the guy at the front desk, he was like, if you leave your room, either take your shit with you or lock it up. He's like, because your individual rooms
will take it.
He's like, your individual rooms don't lock. He's like, so just be aware of that. And everybody in Amsterdam spoke really good English that we interacted with. But on the hallway, there was one single bathroom.
Yeah. So
like you'd be in your room, and if you had to go like use the bathroom, you had to walk out and go down the hall and go into the bathroom.
I feel like that's like the premise of hostels.
Yeah. I mean, we like, and
like
it was not clean either. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Like the movie. No, it wasn't clean either. It was dirty as fuck. Like we walked in and we're like, we're used to like when you go to a hotel here or something.
Like the whole building or the bathroom.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything was it was gross. Never been cleaned.
Yeah.
So we were just kind of like, yeah, it was nasty.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how it went.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on where you were, but we rented rooms periodically that were like, you just got a bed, maybe a bed and a bathroom. And I feel like for the most part they were pretty clean, but
this wasn't like we all.
It was also very. It was almost like you were getting an Airbnb in some places before Airbnb existed.
No, there were like stains on the sheets and stuff.
That's
like,
gross.
We just kind of determined So what we did was I had a book bag, so I used my book bag as the pillow, and I didn't get undressed. Like I didn't change into anything. Like we essentially slept on top of the covers fully.
And
the only thing we would do was
like
the only thing we would do is just kick our shoes off. Like kept our socks on. Like it was. I mean, you walked in, you're like, ugh. Maybe that's just the hostel I stayed in. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
what are your experiences out there in hostels?
How much were you paying for the room?
I mean, we got it for like.
It couldn't have been much.
You're paying for a bed. It was like €3.
Yeah. Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, it was like
shit.
This is like what was this? 05, 06?
Okay.
Yeah, 05 because I was 21. So yeah, 05, and it was like, it's like Because you had to do it by beds. You couldn't be like, hey, do you have a room available? You would go up to the front desk and be like, is there a bed available? And it just so happened the 5 beds that were available were all in the same room.
You guys lucked out.
We really lucked out in that case because it was crowded. I mean, so no one really closed the door either. So when we went up the stairs and went to our rooms, like we're walking down the hallway and people have their doors open because we got there late at night. Well, not late at night, but at night. And we're walking down. People just have their doors open. Some people are hanging out. Some people are making out. Some people are just getting high. Saw one dude shooting up, which was really weird. In his room, I was like, well, good for him. But yeah, everybody kind of had their door open, and I mean, it was like a college dorm room, but just no one cleaned. It was just weird. It wasn't bad. It was just different.
I guess €3 per bed isn't enough money to hire somebody to clean.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody wants to.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't spend a lot of time there. I mean, we literally slept there for a few hours, got up, walked around, then found a different hostel the night. Because, you walked around, you found a place, and you're like, I'm tired of this, I'm going to sleep.
Nice.
That's just kind of how it went.
Yeah.
And then, the next morning, we woke up and went back to the train station to go back to Paris.
I wonder what it's like now.
Apparently, they're moving the red light district. I just actually read an article this week about it.
Moving.
Yeah. I guess they're trying to, the city's trying to move the red light district because they're to a erotic center. So the red light district is kind of in the city. I mean, so they want to take it and move it to essentially outside the city and make it the erotic zone or whatever they're going to call it. And convert what is currently there to housing and everything, because they just don't want the amount of people that come in because it's a big part of their tours, and people just come in and just that's all they want to do. And there's more to Amsterdam than just the red light district. When I had a friend of mine,
or so I've heard.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who actually ended up marrying a guy. She married this dude who was in the Dutch. I won't say she's a friend of mine. She's a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
But she married a guy who was in the Dutch Air Force, and they lived in Amsterdam. And I heard from her when I was in Iraq or after Iraq, I heard from her that she was in that they had shrank the red light district at that time. This was probably 2008, 2009, that they had said, we're going to limit where the red light district is, and they had shrunken it down to a block, or a couple of blocks worth of stuff.
That's crazy.
I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I heard.
I'm just curious, how you would go about that. I feel like putting laws in place, and if somebody's running because what is illegal there?
I guess murder. I don't know. Rape. I mean, I think
because I feel like if you put laws in place to restrict it, then people are just
can't do drugs in public there.
Yeah, so it's kind
of you can't walk down the road and just smoke weed, just light up a joint. But no one's really going to harass you about it. They're just going to look at if the cops see it, they're just going to tell you, fucking put that shit out. What are you, an idiot?
Or here's a ticket.
We saw one person getting arrested while we were there. For what? I don't know. This was an older lady who obviously had some kind of mental problems. But what was weird was the cops that were arresting her were literally it was weird. I don't know what the case. There was some kind of commotion going on. And we're walking down this canal, and there's some kind of commotion about half a block in front of us. And as we get closer, there are these 2 cops coming towards us, and they're following this woman. This woman's not running, but she's very, they pretty much you could see they were holding her at first, and then they let her go, but she wasn't like taking off running, and they were carrying a bike, and she was yelling something in Dutch, and they were yelling back. They were just like, whatever. And she just walked past, and we walked up and we're like, what the hell was that? And they're like, oh, she's crazy or whatever. She was having an episode. She's going to jail. We're like, she wasn't handcuffed or anything. They're like, yeah, that's how.
This is the Veteran Talk Show. If you or someone you love is suffering as a victim of sexual harassment, sexual assault, needs help with addiction and recovery, or mental health and well-being, then please go to veterantalkshow.com/resources. This show is hosted, produced, and edited by Ryan Smeltz. Our co-host is Joe Balak, and a guest starring veterans.